Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about, in my opinion, the most dangerous zodiac sign. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I want to get at is, before I go into the different zodiac signs on this, well, the thing is, there's a lot of people, I think what they do is they've looked on the internet. I've seen this as well, and what it is, the FBI has determined that that they have a certain most dangerous zodiac sign based on their statistical data. And what people have to remember is that's based on sun sign only. They're not factoring in the moon and ascendant. I'm going to put a little different spin on this. I'm going to ascertain and deduce what I believe is the most dangerous zodiac sign, and I'll explain why. If there's a certain sign, say, that is apprehended more than another, and it's a sun sign, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most dangerous zodiac sign. And dangerous sometimes can also be about things that either they might not always be pertaining to a crime. It could be something else. And remember that just because you might have one sign that you have some data on that's committing more crimes or whatever, and then another, that doesn't even, I mean, you could have another sign that might be committing more and simply just not getting caught. So anyway, well, first I'm going to talk about is Aries, and Aries certainly has great potential to be dangerous because they are ruled by Mars. They could be very acrimonious and volatile. They could get very hot-blooded and angry very quickly, but they're not vindictive, and they're not ones to hold a grudge. Their crimes, I could see them being a lot of like assault, aggravated assault, sometimes murder, and things connected with reckless driving due to their impatience. I could see Aries with assault with a deadly weapon. I mean, Mars rules Aries. It's Mars about sharp instruments, sharp tools. So, but the thing is, I still don't see them as the most dangerous of the zodiac signs. So, anyway, let me get to the next sign I'm going to talk about. Well, Taurus. Okay, Taurus is generally, I mean, their crimes are often money related. It can be about extortion, embezzlement, money laundering, robbery. But Taurus is generally very passive and peaceful. They generally are ones not to have confrontation or to be volatile unless you push them beyond their point of endurance, and that's when they can become very infuriated and angry, and that's when they can get into their full rage and then maybe commit, that's when they might commit a crime of a volatile nature. But because of the fact that, I mean, Taurus, ruled by Venus, Taurus is strongly about peace and tranquility. This is not the most dangerous sign. So anyway, well, I'm going to go now to Gemini. Well, Gemini, I mean, is very shrewd, very clever. They could outmaneuver the best of them. Their crimes could be done with a lot of cleverness and being very shrewd. I mean, I had a friend one time that was telling me that he's going to try some way to outmaneuver a redemption machine, so to speak, one of those coin redemption machines, and he had Gemini rising. And I mean, Gemini they're very, like I said, they are very shrewd, but they're generally ones that aren't about, I mean, I don't see them as being really the most dangerous sign. Gemini can often be very amicable, very amiable. Their disposition is often good. But the thing about it is, if they're to commit crimes or do something to try to hurt somebody, Gemini is very versatile and multifaceted. Gemini can have a vacillating nature, and sometimes the crime or whatever they do to hurt somebody might be attributed to them kind of flipping on somebody in a heartbeat. So they could be very nice one moment, but the Gemini swing could be very extreme, and that's where I think their crimes can sometimes come in, or their dangerous behavior. Now, Anyway, but I do not think they are the most dangerous sign. Now, getting to the zodiac sign Cancer. Now, here's the sign that's on over the internet, and it's saying that, well, Cancer is the most dangerous sign based on FBI data and statistics. And as I stated before, the FBI data is only going by sun signs. And remember that some people can be born on the cusp as far as a sun sign goes. So a lot of these signs, and even the ones when they have their data on Cancer, some of them may be actually Gemini or Leo if they're born on, if they're born right on the cusp of, they could be born on the cusp of Gemini and Cancer, might actually be Gemini, and some may be born on the cusp of Cancer and Leo and may be Leo. So I think you have to take that into consideration. But Cancer can be very vacillating, very fickle and temperamental. I do agree they can be one of the more dangerous signs due to emotional instability. Cancer is, of course, very much impacted and influenced by the moon transits, and I think that is what is strongly attributed to their temperamental behavior. The crimes they may commit might be ones of a home nature. They can be domestic violence, crimes in the home. They could be destruction of property, could even be vandalism of a home, robbing a home, pretending to own property they don't own. It's just things generally that are basically home, family related, but I don't think they're the most dangerous sign. And of course, when I get to it later on, I'll explain that most dangerous sign and why I think that the particular sign is the most dangerous when I get to it. Now, going to the zodiac sign Leo. Well, Leo, really, what they are, their biggest fault, I think, is just similar to Aries, because Leo can have a very prodigious temper. The thing about it is Leo can get very angry when their ego and their pride is hurt. They don't like to be shown up. Leo can often get angry over those kind of things. Their crimes that Leo would commit are often about notoriety and recognition. Some of you may remember the New York City Zodiac killer in the 1990s. His sun sign is Leo, and I think it wouldn't surprise me if he was reveling in the fact that he was committing these murders and he was not getting caught. And he probably was enjoying it, watching it on TV and saying, I'm getting away with this. And see, sometimes that's what will hurt Leo in the long run, is sometimes the arrogance and the cockiness of the sign eventually will get to him. If I'm not mistaken, the Zodiac killer, New York City Zodiac killer, it was eventually caught in the 90s, I think because of something in his signature that gave it away when he was actually apprehended for some other crime. So anyway. But I don't think Leo is the most dangerous sign. Most Leos are very magnanimous, very generous. They have a very proud nature. They will grant favors in a heartbeat. Ruled by the sun, it doesn't seem to me to be the most dangerous sign. Their temper in most cases is really what gets the better of them, and that's when they could be a little bit dangerous, but in most cases. Now, anyway, going to Virgo. Well, Virgo is a sign that's known for very, very upright, scrupulous behavior. They generally aren't going to get involved in anything scandalous or anything that might be corrupt or criminal, because this is the sign of all the signs that is strongly about their correct and upright behavior. However, if Virgo does get involved in something, they are so meticulous with details. They often are very good at covering up whatever it was that they did, because they just remember the details and they won't leave much evidence behind. The thing about Virgo, though, is their crimes can often, I think, be committed. I mean, considering it's the sign of work and the workaholic, it's when they're out of work, such as being in an impoverished situation, such as maybe loitering, trespassing, panhandling, doing things. Those are the criminal acts I see them connected with. And remember that Virgo is about health. So I think they could also have a strong propensity to commit crimes that are about hurting someone's health. It could be about, poisoning somebody. It could be, through chemicals or poison pen letters in some cases. Things which are about doing something to make a person unhealthy. And I think, and it could be even robbing the place that they actually work in, because this is the sign of work. But generally, Virgo is a very passive. Generally, most Virgos I've seen, very good disposition, very likable, and very scrupulous, and they're not unethical. They're not ones that generally are going to go out and commit many crimes, and they're not ones that I would see as being very dangerous either. So I would say no to Virgo as the most dangerous sign. Now, I'm going to get to the zodiac sign Libra. Now, as far as Libra goes, well, Libra is known to be, they're the diplomats of the zodiac. They want fairness. They want things to be equitable. They're often about peace very strongly, like Taurus, because they are ruled by Venus. The crimes that Libra may commit could be ones about vigilantism, taking that law into their own hands, balancing the scale, so to speak. If they're done unfairly by the law, it's possible in those cases they may do something to try to break it. I could see Libras being, some corrupt attorneys or judges, things of that nature, something affiliated with the law. But because the sign I see is very benign, very peace-loving, they're about balance and harmony, it doesn't strike me as being the most dangerous sign of the zodiac. So, next sign I'm going to talk about. Well, Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, ruled by the benign, benevolent planet Jupiter. They are very jocular, very happy-go-lucky, optimistic, exuberant. They generally have a lot of goodwill and are very benevolent people. Sagittarius may commit crimes that might be sports-related in some cases, such as using performance-enhancing substances to get an upper hand, so to speak. They could be ones connected with publishing, perhaps false indoctrination connected with a religious belief that's not correct, being a false prophet, things of that nature. But being Sagittarius, ruled by a very benign planet Jupiter, very benevolent, it's not the sign that I would think would be the most dangerous. However, if they are going to do something, Sagittarius does operate on a big scale, so understand. I think Ted Bundy had a sun in Sagittarius, but he did have a hot-tempered Leo ascendant as well. And O.J. Simpson has a Leo ascendant as well. And Leo, but anyway, I'm talking about Sagittarius anyway. So anyway, but as far as Sagittarius goes, no, because I see them as very benign, very benevolent for the most part, very jovial sign, very positive. And Sagittarius is a sign like Libra associated with the law. So I don't think of them as the most dangerous sign. Now, anyway, going to Capricorn. Well, Capricorn is a sign that's often about being orthodox, conventional, and about rules and regulations. They, if any crime is connected with them, it could often be organized crime. They are, Capricorn is a sign that really, I think, because they're strongly by the rules, it's not the most dangerous. At least it's not the sign that's going to be committing a lot of crimes or be the most dangerous. Capricorn has a lot of discipline, and that includes their emotions, so they don't let their emotions get to the better of them, unlike Cancer, unfortunately. And as I stated before, Cancer I don't think is the most dangerous sign, but I think it's one of the most dangerous. But Capricorn, I would say no. Their crimes, though, can be done with a lot of premeditation, planning, and forethought, but I don't see them as the most dangerous sign. So anyway, let me get to Aquarius now. Well, Aquarius, I don't think is the most, I don't see them as the most dangerous sign. Aquarius can be very humanitarian, selfless, benign. They're often involved with helping others, doing things without expecting a whole lot in return, because that is just their nature. However, if they are to commit a crime, it could be very high-tech, cyber crimes, hacking into computers. It can be done. Aquarius, I think, is really, I believe, the most cerebral of the signs. Remember that Aquarius is ruled, one of the rulers of Aquarius is Uranus, which is the higher octave of Mercury. So their crimes can be rather ingenious and original. And I think also crimes could be connected with stealing inventions and innovations because it's a sign associated with innovations. But given their humanitarian and benign nature and very selfless nature of the sign, it's in very amiable disposition often. They are, in being that universal friend, it's not the sign that I would think would be the most dangerous, though. The only thing that could be a little dangerous about them is the fact that their behavior can sometimes be very erratic and unpredictable, and sometimes you don't know what they're going to do from one moment to the next. They could be one of the more dangerous signs, but I don't think the most dangerous. Now I'm going to get to Pisces. Well, Pisces is a sign generally very passive, timid, and submissive. They're not ones looking for confrontations. They're not ones that are really looking for any problems. The danger with Pisces, and whether it could be connected with a crime or them going off on somebody inexplicably, could be a strong propensity toward drugs and alcohol, more so than the other signs, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And I think the fact that Jupiter is ruled with Neptune as well, I mean, Jupiter rules Pisces as well as Neptune, that could give a very expanded, I think, connection with alcohol and drugs for many Pisces. And the thing in Pisces, crimes could be connected with being under the influence, and it could be whether it's alcohol, recreational drugs, driving while intoxicated, maybe a volatile crime while under some influence of some drugs. It could be stealing drug paraphernalia, chemical related crimes, just something connected with that, crimes of illusion such as identity theft, things of that nature. But the thing about Pisces is that they are their nature can be very fluctuating and very vacillating, much like Gemini. So they actually can be a dangerous sign if they are, especially if the drugs are involved, because I think not only are they more connected with that on average, but I think their behavior that could be detrimental to themselves and really to others, that could affect others adversely, is stronger with them as well because of that connection with Neptune. So, but anyway, people, well, right now I'm going to finally, last but not least, I'm going to unveil what I think is the most dangerous zodiac sign. And that sign, I believe, is Scorpio. Now, I understand on this FBI's list, as far as the most dangerous zodiac sign goes, it's not Scorpio. It was listed as Cancer, and as I stated before, the FBI list only went by sun signs. They're not factoring in the moon sign and ascendant into the equation. And another thing too is that just because Cancer sun sign was seen as the most dangerous by the FBI zodiac sign by their statistical data, that doesn't prove that they are committing the most crimes. I think what it is, I would not be surprised if Scorpio, and we're factoring sun, moon, and ascendant, that Scorpio actually may commit more of them, but they're so surreptitious and sneaky and stealth-like, they could do something to somebody and really they could get away with it greater because they are very stealth-like, because they just know how to plot and know precisely often when to do something. They're probably the best of all the signs at covering their tracks, so to speak. I think what it is I think like the difference like with Scorpio and Virgo, say in terms of crimes, Virgo is very meticulous. They might create more evidence than Scorpio, but Virgo can be meticulous in cleaning up. But I think Scorpio just doesn't leave much and doesn't really have to worry about cleaning up as much because they really plot their crimes very strongly. And the thing is, it's not just about crimes which makes Scorpio the most dangerous. It's the fact that they can be very manipulative. They can get information out of you that other signs can have difficult time doing. They are about outmaneuvering others. They are about guile. They are very tricky. They could get information out of you and use it against you later on. And they can, and see, it's not just about the crime factor, the crime element that makes Scorpio the most dangerous. It's their general demeanor. And the fact that Scorpio is a master as far as vengeance goes and finding the appropriate revenge against somebody. The thing about it is, Scorpio, they are good at detecting what's superficial, seen beyond the surface of others. They know what can hurt somebody instantaneously. They will be able to see what will hurt you, what will later on. If they're your friends, I mean, Scorpio can make a very loyal and steadfast friend, but they could be an implacable adversary. I think they're the most dangerous adversary and enemy someone can have. And Scorpio is also connected with stalking. I see Scorpio as really somebody that it really is the one sign strongly associated with it. Scorpio can be very obsessive and fixated on somebody. If somebody tries to eradicate a relationship with a Scorpio, Scorpio often will not accept it, and they will stay on that person, whether it's it could, in some extreme cases, it can be stalking on the internet. It could be calling and contacting that person persistently, even though the other person has said, you know, adios, whatever, see you, don't want to be you. Another thing about Scorpio too, I mean, we look at I stated about them being very surreptitious and very sneaky in what they do. And as far as crimes go, you have two very good examples. You know, the Son of Sam killer, David Berkowitz, in the 1970s, he was killing one person after another. He has Scorpio rising, and he just kept doing it, and he just knew exactly when to do this, when he wouldn't have any witnesses. I think he did a lot of times at night, and he was very stealth-like, and I think a lot of that was attributed to his Scorpio ascendant. Now, the Boston Strangler, even though on Astro.com the chart had a C rating, it was rectified, I think, from like an approximate birth time. He had Scorpio rising according to that C chart, but I do believe in all likelihood he had Scorpio rising, and he was killing one person after another, and he did it in very stealth-like, surreptitious manner. Scorpio just knows when and how to commit their crimes. And the thing about Scorpio too is that they will wait till that precise moment to get you, a lot of times when you least expect it. And they are just very hard to get caught and be apprehended because they are so elusive. And Scorpio, I mean, they will do, and the thing about them is, keep in mind that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which is associated with crime. John Gotti was Sun in Scorpio, and he was obviously very prominent person in the mafia. I think what it is too is that Scorpio often will get others to do their bidding, and they don't. And a lot of times you can't trace the crimes back to them because a lot of times they have their hired guns. I believe Charles Manson as a Scorpio sun. His son in Scorpio, and he had a lot of people, I believe, commit crimes for him. And what it was is, I mean, he manipulated them and got them to do their bidding. Scorpio, what they do is their crimes are often very vicious as well and very malicious. A lot of times it's done in a way where they really want to hurt you and they want to do something to hit home. And Scorpio is the ultimate of doing that of all the signs. You might have other signs that might often hit somebody and lose their temper, and it's a crime that wasn't really planned out as much. It was more spontaneous. But with Scorpio, it's more plotted often and planned out. And the thing is, like I stated before, they will just get you a lot of times when you least expect it. And I do think Scorpio is connected, ruled by Pluto, associated with the underworld as well. And the thing is, and I think Scorpio is the sign associated strongest with criminal activity. Scorpio being ruled by Pluto, and I mean, I know it's Mars as well, but Pluto being one of the rulers, also connected with terrorist activity. And that Omar, I believe his name was Omar Mateen, who went he went shot a number of people, killed a number of people, seriously injured a number of them, and some. It was a gay nightclub. Has his son in Scorpio, and Scorpio is really, I think, it is the most nefarious of the signs and the most dangerous. They're also very vindictive and vengeful as well. And Scorpio will harbor things for a very long time, and they do not forget hardly any kind of injustice that was done to them. They could be a perpetual enemy for a very long time. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the most dangerous zodiac sign, and stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about Virgo fears. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel, and secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.